John Yoo is with us right now, former Justice Department attorney, former law clerk to Justice Clarence Thomas. John, very good to have you. This written record, John, you hear so much about how important that is because at least it prevents choosing a David Souter, a big mistake that I think even George Bush Sr. later admitted he made by choosing someone he thought was a conservative, and it ended up being anything but. And that now they really, really rigorously go through these opinions and dissents, and the written record that would be more reliable than would be, you know, a few speeches or comments to senators. What do you think?
I think that is the most important part of reviewing a nominee, is looking at the written record. I think some of the cases you were just mentioning that were mistakes of the past, say a Souter,
right,
even in a Kennedy, from a conservative perspective, was because people were swayed by interviews. They were swayed by recommendations from friends. I think the best thing you can use to predict whether someone will be able to handle the pressure of Washington, D.C. and reach the right outcomes, maintain fidelity to the text and original understanding of the Constitution, is their written opinions or written law review articles.
But by that, you know, Justice Roberts, the Chief Justice, you could argue based on his written opinions prior, that would not have been a judge who would have, you know, sort of given the green light to Obamacare, again, on procedural technical grounds. I don't want to get into the weeds here, but he would not have been the person, at least from the hearings and the opinions they garnered, that would have telegraphed that. I guess what I'm asking you is, how sure can we be one way or the other, whether you have a volume of written opinions and dissents or not?
That's a great question, Neil. Chief Justice Roberts had only been on the lower court a very short time when he was elevated to be Chief Justice. The same court that Brett Kavanaugh is on, although Brett Kavanaugh's been on there about a decade now, a little over a decade now, whereas Chief Justice Roberts was only there about a year or two. So there was very little written record. Actually, I think Roberts is a good example of what you were worrying about, which is he had a reputation within Washington for being a conservative Republican. But when you looked at, as you said, when you look at the records, speeches, articles, and most importantly, opinions, he did turn out, I think, as you said, to be a proceduralist, right, and not really committed to the original understanding of the Constitution, which is what Trump says he's looking for.
Now, these things have always gotten to be divisive affairs in recent years, John, so I'm wondering how this will go. Democrats have already, by and large, come out against whoever the president is going to choose tonight, and this is the battle royale. I can understand why. It's a tipping point. It's not just a swing vote. It's a conservative vote. It changes the complexion and tenor of the court for decades to come. I've heard all of that. But how important will it be, and do any of these four candidates, and again, we're only going based on what we assume to be the pick from these four, offer maybe some surprises?
That's very interesting you put it that way. Let me draw a little bit on my experience when I was General Counsel of the Senate Judiciary Committee. There used to be a tradition in the Senate of seeking consensus, working together, and as you probably know, Majority Leader Reid blew that up by getting rid of the filibuster for lower court judges. And so the Democrats are now going to reap what they've sown. They have removed all of the safeguards to slow down the confirmation process.
That, John. I'm so glad you pointed that out. They will rue that day for a long, long time, won't they?
Yeah. And so what you're going to see, I think, in the Senate is you will see the Democrats will go to the mat. They're the left wing of their party is putting enormous pressure on them. And from a conservative perspective, this person will create the first 5-justice conservative majority in my lifetime, and probably stretching back to before the Warren Court. But when you say they will go to the mat, John, I didn't mean to jump on you, but to what end? I mean, obviously, it's a very close Senate right now, 50-49. When you think of it here, 1 or 2 Republicans peel off. The president needs to get Democratic votes. He could still get that. But it's going to be an uphill battle for Democrats in fighting this. And I don't know whether it would have improved if they had waited till after the midterms, when conceivably Republicans could build their margin in the Senate. The House is a different story, but in the Senate, they conceivably could build it. So aren't they just fighting the inevitable? I think I think what you're seeing is a Democratic Party, their governing philosophy has been to use executive branch agencies and the courts to push through a lot of law, particularly over-regulating business and the private sector. So it's not just Roe versus Wade. It's not just gay marriage. Creating this 5-justice majority that's not going to let the administrative state run wild is really pulling out one of the core planks of how the Democratic majority governs. So I think they're going to go to the mats not just to stop, not just to promote what we think of progressive values, but to protect their whole way of governing. Now, what they could do is they could try to shut down the Senate. They could refuse to vote for any bills, try to block all spending, try to block all other nominations. They could try to bring the Senate to a halt.
That would surely boomerang on them, right? They would look like petulant children doing that.
I would hope so. I think it's actually a good precedent for the Senate to actually, whether it's up or down,
right,
to move expeditiously.
Yeah,
but I think that,
Go ahead.
yeah, I think the Democrats, though, this is their last chance to stop a conservative court for many years.
Yeah. Real quickly, what I got, my crew is going to kill me here, but I'm curious. There's another talk about here, if Democrats would ever get back in charge, that they would be pushing a pack the court mentality, that maybe if they had the run of the table or control the White House or one of the branches, particularly the Senate, add more Supreme Court justices, make it so that it could never be overturned. Who says you have to have 9? You've heard that?
I've seen mentions of it. I think
Sounds
it's
crazy,
really
but,
silly.
Yeah.
It's, well, think about this. Think about like just playing tit for tat. They can do that, and then the next time the Republicans get in, they can get rid of all those judges or expand the court again, and soon we'll have 100 justices on the Supreme Court, or like China, 300 justices on the Supreme Court, and then it's purely political, which I actually don't think some Democrats would mind, because I think they've been behind an effort for 30, 40 years to make the courts represent political views rather than sort of a neutral approach to constitutional law.
Yeah, it's sort of emblematic of the population of the country. It struck me as crazy, but I did want to bounce it off you. John Yoo, thank you very much.